Hello and welcome to Money Matters TV. I'm your host, Mike Dever, founder and chief innovation officer for Brandywine Asset Management. And my guest today is Dr. Shaan Patel. He's CEO of Prep Expert. We're going to talk about student scholarships. Hello, Dr. Patel.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So tell me a little bit first on, give me a kind of an overall wrapper of the industry, scholarships and what is it you're providing with that, and then we can get a little more specifics about it.
Yeah, so paying for college has essentially become a really stressful thing for parents, students, and families. And one of the underrated ways to pay for college is scholarships. Everyone kind of knows about student loans, and that's what you see in the news, but that's really just one option. And there are so many other ways to pay for college, whether it's grants, scholarships, institutional aid, private foundations, etc. And there's billions of dollars given out in merit-based scholarships annually to students. And so what I do at my company, Prep Expert, is we help students raise their test scores, get better grades so that they can qualify for those academic merit-based scholarships. And I'm happy to share some tips here today with viewers as well.
Oh, that'd be great. And how early in the college process do they need to start as far as boosting grades and preparing to apply for scholarships? And when then specifically should they be applying for those scholarships?
Yeah, so one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of parents and families make is they wait till their child is in 12th grade as a high school senior to start with all of this. And at that point, it's a little bit too late. So what you really want to do is get started in ninth grade, 10th grade, right when they're entering high school, to make sure that you're shaping up the grades well, that you're studying for your SATs, PSATs, ACTs, and on the right path. And by 11th grade, you want to start building out your scholarship list so that in your 12th grade year, you're ready to go hit the ground running with your applications, not only to the colleges and universities in 12th grade, but to hopefully dozens of high yield scholarships that will net you tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in free money for college.
Wow. I mean, nothing like free money, right? That's always a good thing. Now, you mentioned ACT, SATs. It seems like a lot of schools started going away from requiring that as part of their application process. Is that still something that's important for the scholarship side of things?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is for the college admission side after COVID in 2020, many universities went test optional, but they actually started having worse outcomes where the students were less well prepared in their colleges and universities because they weren't requiring test scores. And so we've seen a huge trend among universities reinstating test scores. For example, all of the Ivy League universities, including University of Pennsylvania, now require SAT and ACT scores for college admissions. And I actually think there's one Ivy League that may not, maybe Columbia, but for the most part, they all do. And even, we're seeing professors across the country now raise the red flag that they want test scores back. And so not only is it important for college admissions, but it's always been important for scholarships. So if you want to qualify for a quarter tuition, half tuition, full tuition scholarship, you're going to need a high test score. So it's a really crucial piece of getting academic merit-based scholarships.
And I know you want to go through some tips, but how reasonable, what does it take to get a full scholarship? And is it, you would probably help direct the students and the parents to the schools that are more likely to give the scholarships, I guess, for each of your clients. But you mentioned a full scholarship. I mean, that's obviously a dream for every family. How probable is that if they start with you at ninth grade?
Yeah, it's actually a lot more likely than you would think. So, what's super interesting is that many private universities that have good endowments are competing to get the best students. And so, oftentimes, if you've got a higher than a 3.5 GPA, and a SAT score above 1400, you've got, 50, 60% shot at landing a full scholarship, assuming you apply to the correct universities. So you could make the mistake and only apply to, for example, Ivy League universities, and they don't give any merit-based scholarships. And I see a lot of that where parents and families will say, well, my student was never offered any scholarships. Well, it's because they didn't select the correct universities to apply to. So it's a strategy of where you apply to as well as your academic record.
And how do you determine, I mean, are there certain colleges, no matter who the student is, that are just much better on the scholarship side? And then within that universe, you figure out which one's suited to the student, I guess, and guide them in that direction?
Exactly. So some universities will publicly, put on their website, for example, that if you meet certain criteria, that you will automatically qualify for, a half tuition or full tuition scholarship. Other universities, it's not as publicly advertised, but if you talk to the financial aid office, they can give you an estimate of how many full scholarships, half scholarships are given out per year. And that usually will work in your favor if you're academically competitive.
Now, do you differentiate or do you help steer the student to it sounds like the scholarships we're talking about here are sponsored by the colleges themselves. What about scholarships from other sources? Are there a lot of them out there? Is there fraud out there? Are there things you need to be aware of?
Yeah, great question. So, one of the biggest untapped resources is, scholarships from private companies, foundations, and nonprofits. There's actually over $7 billion of legitimate scholarship money given out by companies like Coca-Cola, Toyota, McDonald's every single year. And so you
Wow.
have to work on identifying those scholarships, which ones are most applicable, et cetera. I actually won over 20 local scholarships myself. And so local scholarships are absolutely key to winning scholarships. So this is a big scholarship tip, which is um, if you are going to be applying for, private scholarship money, I would look in your local area. So look for your local city, state, county, and apply for scholarships that are open to, parents and students in that area. Why? Because the other 49 states cannot apply, which basically means you've effectively reduced your competition by almost 50 times compared to applying for a scholarship that's open to the entire nation. So you have far fewer applications, your chances of winning go up exponentially. And then even an advanced hack for viewers, which is go to type in your city or state and scholarships into Google, but go to page 2, 3, or 4 of Google. Why? Because no one goes to those pages. So those scholarships are going to be even harder to find, which means they're going to have even fewer applications, which means you're going to have a higher chance of winning.
Yeah, I think you answered my question I had, which is, do you have what resource should these people be going to find these local scholarships, these private scholarships? And is it mostly Google?
Yeah, a lot of it is Google search research, but with that, what I'm finding is a great tool now is also AI. So ChatGPT
Hmm.
and Claude are putting together great lists for our students, for our parents and families. So look for that. Put in your profile, your GPA, your test scores, where you live, ask for local scholarships, where you want to go to college, and it can generate, really personalized lists for you to explore because AI has gotten so good. Another great resource is going to be your high school college counselor. They often know of local businesses in the area that are giving out scholarships that may not be well advertised. And so that's going to be a great resource. So a lot of it is word of mouth in your area as well.
And are those scholarships generally in the few $1,000 range? They're not going to be a full scholarship, I'm imagining.
Yeah, they'll range anywhere from 1,000 to $10,000. I mentioned I won 20 of those, and that's exactly what kind of the range was 1,000 to about $20,000. But when you win five, they really stack up to tens of thousands. And if you win 10 or 20, like me, it can be closer to that six-figure range. So you just have to stack the money. $1,000 is probably not going to change anyone's life or make a big difference, but 10,000, 15, 20,000 can really make a dent and help you pay for college.
So when you're saying you won those, is that you personally when you were going to college?
Yeah, when I was actually in high school, I applied for 100 scholarships myself, and I ended up winning 20 of those scholarships. So I had a
Wow.
20% win rate. But what I realized was 19 out of the 20 that I won was actually all local scholarships to my local city or state. And so if I could go back in time and do it all over again, I would never have applied to all those national scholarships. It was a big waste of time, money, and effort. And so
Uh-huh.
that's what I advised my parents and families now and clients. And we've had clients win, $1 million, half a million, $250,000 in college scholarships,
Wow.
just by using these strategies.
That's amazing. That's great. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk more with Dr. Patel. But right now, we're going to take our viewer question. And this one comes from Thomas Gallagher in Philadelphia. What makes for a safe investment in retirement in today's stock or bond market? Um, that's a tough one because
Yeah.
uh, I can almost always say there are no safe investments. It's very difficult. Every investment has a risk. Some people might point to retirement funds, 401k plans having now stable value funds in them, for example, that provide you from an insurance company a stable amount of money in retirement. But mostly those are not indexed to inflation. So you're automatically losing some portion of that every year to inflation. So you could look at it, it's not stable. It's actually declining by whatever the inflation rate is. You've got, dividend paying, other kind of high yield bond market, US treasuries. Again, it's a lower rate of return though, and you are subject to interest rate fluctuations in that. So really the one thing I wrote about this in my book 15 years ago, Jackass Investing, and it talks about the one free lunch in investing, which is portfolio diversification. And so what's been coming on strong over the last decade or so are what are referred to as target date funds, which are essentially a diversification in a package where you have one product that you can go into and it's got diversification across a variety of different equities and fixed income markets. The downside on that is they're generally all benefiting when the market goes up. They don't have any kind of protection on the downside. There are some products that are coming out like that do that now that I think are worth looking at, certainly. But for the most part, there's nothing that's safe, but at least going with portfolio diversification, you can lower the risks that you're exposed to in the portfolio. So thank you, Thomas, for that question. And now, if you've got a question you'd like to ask of Money Matters TV, here's how you can do that.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says, Send us your questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our host and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, M-O-N-E-Y, matters, M-A-T-T-E-R-S, TV.com.
Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, wait, Dr. Patel, I have another question here talking about what you said right out of the gate again, is more advice, ideas, tips. I think that was a great tip for focusing on the local scholarships. And I especially love the idea if you're in Google, go to the back pages.
Mhm.
Just dig a little deeper, right? It's not that much harder, but you're right. People are sometimes maybe lazy and they just don't take that extra effort. But I do see how AI and some of these chat AI services are going to really help add value to this as well, because they get to know you, a student,
Mhm.
and you tell them more about you, and they'll help direct you to what might be the best opportunities on the scholarship side. What else could you recommend to parents or students in preparing? You are prep firm, so yeah, what should they be doing?
Yeah. So, a really good tip for parents with younger students is there's another exam outside of the SAT and the ACT called the PSAT, and that's known as the pre SAT. It happens in October of your 11th grade year, so junior. So this is really for parents of 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, and rising 11th graders. You really want to focus on the PSAT. Why? Because it's not just a practice SAT. It's actually the one exam that can qualify you for what's called National Merit Scholarship. Now, you've probably heard of National Merit Scholarship because it's always in the news. And the reason it's always in the news is because it's a really prestigious award that can open up over 100 half tuition and full tuition scholarships to various universities across the nation. So we're talking $100,000 plus university scholarships at places like University of Southern California, Fordham University. The list goes on and on. But the idea is if you're a National Merit Scholar, there's over 100 colleges and universities that will automatically give you half tuition and full tuition scholarships just because you scored high on that 2-hour exam. And so I don't know about you, but if my employer told me that if I scored high on an exam, that's 2 hours, and if I score high enough on it, I'll get $100,000 raise, I would probably study for that exam. And so
Absolutely.
that's what I encourage parents and students is study for the PSAT because it's a really big deal.
$50,000 an hour, that's even more than my lawyer charges me. So
exactly.
not much, but it's there.
Yeah.
What kind of scores do they need to get? And what kind of percentile would that mean relative to their peer group they're competing against?
Yeah, so the good news is you're only competing against the students in your state. So again, it's kind of that local thing again, which I'm such a big advocate of. But you do need to score high. So you need to score in the top 1% in your state. So for Pennsylvania, I don't know the cutoff score off the top of my head, but I believe it's somewhere around 1450 out of 1520. And so that's why it's so important to prep and for this exam that, many parents are like, oh, it's the pre-SAT, it doesn't matter. And then when I tell them this, they're like, oh, if I had known that it opened up these scholarship opportunities, I would have definitely had my child prepare for that.
Yeah, so it sounds like they would use you as a prep firm to help prep for that. Is that correct? And
yeah, that's one example. Yeah, we're one option. So my company,
one,
prepexpert.com, offers courses. We offer free webinars that can help you with the PSAT. There's also free resources like Khan Academy. The College Board, the company that produces the SAT, has a free application called Blue Book, which I highly recommend every parent and student download because it gives you full-length PSAT exams and SAT exams that you can see how the actual questions work. But really, we focus more on the strategy side to help you read passages faster, answer math questions more accurately to help get your scores up at Prep Expert.
okay, all right, great. Yeah, so it sounds like, what a return on investment. If you can spend a few dollars to get $100,000, by scoring high. What other tips do you have as far as you always hear about the soft skills, the soft stuff? I'm in this club and that club. I'm class president. Are those important? Do they lead to scholarships?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not enough just to have good grades and test scores. The other piece, like you mentioned, is the extracurricular activities. And you got to put yourself in a scholarship committee's shoes. Who are they trying to give these scholarships to? Really, it's the future leaders of tomorrow that are going to make a positive impact on society. And so you want to demonstrate that by participating in some community service or leadership activities, whether it's volunteering at a soup kitchen, helping out with a church youth group, starting a club at your high school. Those all demonstrate that you're going to be a leader of tomorrow and will help you secure those scholarships.
Okay. Now, when you were talking about doing the searches for scholarships, and you had mentioned we were talking about potential for fraud. What do you need to look out for? And for example, to apply for scholarships, do you ever have to pay money for an application, or is it always free?
It should always be free. So that's actually one of the big red flags there. For scholarship fraud, it does exist, and it is something to watch out for. So anytime you see an upfront fee, like pay a processing fee or an application fee to claim your scholarship, that should raise a red flag. Any guaranteed scholarship that you've never applied for is likely designed to collect bank or social security details. And then if you run across a financial aid advisor who charges to help you fill out the FAFSA form, which is free, is probably a scam as well. So those are just some red flags to look out for.
I have actually, that FAFSA form, we've had financial planners, people like that, that have come to the schools when my boys were in high school and put on these little seminars, and then they charge you $1,000, $2,000 to complete the FAFSA and help you get, into a school and get a scholarship. And you're saying essentially treat that as a scam?
Yeah, I mean, the FAFSA form now, the free application for federal student aid, actually got a lot simpler. So maybe years ago it was, pretty complicated to fill out, but now they even have a direct IRS integration. It shouldn't be something that you need a high paid consultant to help you fill out.
And so why is it so important to complete the FAFSA?
Yeah. So the FAFSA is your door into federal financial aid. So if your family qualifies depending on income and the assessment of the FAFSA, they could qualify for a need-based aid, which, for example, need-based grants do not need to be paid back. In addition, the last place to pay for college is going to be loans. And the best rate of student loans is going to come from federal loans rather than private or university-based loans, which are typically going to have less protections and higher interest rates. So it is important to always fill out the FAFSA. You never know what kind of grants you may qualify for, such as the federal Pell Grant. And grants are great because you don't have to pay them back, but you'll also get the best loan options through FAFSA as well.
Okay. Is there a single point of advice you give to students? Talk about financial aid safety and avoiding the fraud. I think the dollars, if there's money up front, that sounds like it might be one of them. Is that the point of advice?
Yeah, one takeaway is legitimate financial aid never asks you to pay upfront. So if money has to leave your pocket to unlock a scholarship, totally walk away.
Okay. Give me some idea then. So if you get a student that comes to you, and it's usually, I'm guessing, the parents seek you out for their student, and they get to you soon enough, and it's ninth grade. What should they expect as far as services? Specifically, what are you providing then over those next few years prior to them reaching college?
Yeah, that's the ideal time is if we can work with a parent, student, or family, a prep expert in ninth or 10th grade. What we're going to do is help you first off with test preparation. So we will put you through, for example, a 4-week online PSAT course to help get your PSAT score up in order to qualify for national merit scholarships. Then we've got 6-week and 7-week SAT and ACT courses to help get your SAT and ACT scores up. We have college advisory services that'll help you choose which classes to take, which extracurriculars to participate in. All of this is with the intention to make you as competitive as possible, not only for college admissions, but really for college admissions with scholarships. So we want to reduce your cost of college as much as possible. And we've been helping students for now 15 years. We've helped over 100,000 students win over $100 million in college scholarships. So it's been an incredible experience and really life-changing for many parents, students, and families.
So when you say we, 100,000 students, that's not we, you, that's an organization.
Yeah, of course. It couldn't just be me. I'm the CEO of Prep Expert, but I have an amazing team of instructors, tutors, consultants. We've been doing this for 15 years, as I mentioned, and 10 years ago, we pitched it on Shark Tank and made a deal with Mark Cuban, and he's been an amazing investor and advocate and partner for the company ever since.
But you waited to the end to talk about Cuban and Shark Tank? All right, so tell me that. First of all, what was that like? And how did you win over Mark Cuban?
What's funny is Mark Cuban, when I walked into the tank, rolled his eyes, didn't believe that, scores could lead to scholarships and college admissions. And when I told him my story of going to public school And, I was in Las Vegas, so obviously not known for good education, 40% dropout rate, raised my own SAT score from average to perfect, had immigrant parents, got a full ride scholarship to the University of Southern California, didn't have to pay a dime for college myself, helped students raise their score hundreds of points on the SAT and unlock scholarships and college admissions to top universities. I think that won him over by the end of it. And so he invested $250,000 for 20% equity in the company. He's still our sole investor, and he's made a great return on his investment.
That's amazing. That's a great story. Yeah, all I see online are stories about Mark Cuban losing money on his various investments. So you're the exception. You're the outlier, which is great. And
yeah,
how
I
often,
think he said we're one of his top 5 investments from Shark Tank. Yeah,
amazing. Congratulations. I mean, that's great.
Thank you.
So how often did you interact with Mark in the beginning, and now are you friendly with him still? And how's it look with him?
Yeah, it's been 10 years since the investment has happened, and we still actually email every couple of weeks. I see him usually once a year. We've co-authored books together. We've done panels together for business and entrepreneurship, and he's just been a great resource advisor and mentor.
Yeah, so I first met Mark, 30 some years ago. I haven't stayed in touch with him really, but we each had internet businesses, and his was doing business with ours. And I met him then, and he went off and obviously had great success with broadcast.com, selling that and making some billions, and he's enjoyed a nice life from that. Obviously he's done great. But that's
it's funny. Almost anyone I tell that I'm business partners with Mark Cuban, they have some story about either meeting or interacting with him. He's really touched everyone across America. It's amazing. Yeah.
You know what? And he's responsive. He's usually responsive. Now, I haven't responded or reached out recently, but I would reach out by email and I'd get response, back.
Yeah.
I think I might have though I have an old basketball email address. It probably it may not still hold up, but
I'll
be hitting you up for a reintroduction. So
yeah, of
that's
course.
Great. Yeah, well, Shane, Dr. Patel, I think this was a great story. I really appreciate it. I think you're providing a lot of value. It sounds like, and it's from firsthand experience. I mean, this isn't something that's theoretical. It's something you did, you learned, and now you've been able to package it into a product that's just helping 100,000. I mean, it's just amazing the number of families then that you've been able to help, and that's great. I congratulate you for that. Nice to see a wildly successful business, and somebody that's adding so much value in the market like that. But thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. We love to do good and do well, and appreciate the time for today's interview. And I hope your viewers get a lot of value, especially the parents and students who are watching.
Absolutely. One last time, what's the web address for that?
Oh yeah, so parents and students who are looking to get more preparation, I do free live webinars all the time. You can register for them at prepexpert.com. That's PREPEXPERT.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next guest in Money Matters TV is Ed Ziskowski, who's CEO of Personal Digital Spaces. Until then, thank you for watching Money Matters TV, where your money matters. See you next time.